Dr. Dan's Freedom Forum is on the air.
Good evening. It is Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, and this is Dr. Dan's Freedom Forum Live. This is your host, Dr. Dan. Join us every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, for news, views, discussions of things that are important, events, occurrences that are important to you. Tonight, can Elon Musk's new party, America, save the United States of America? The Trump-Musk team has broken apart over policy differences. Instead of returning to private life, Elon Musk has decided to challenge his former colleague in the political arena. What are the odds that Elon Musk will actually be successful? And what will be the outcome for you and for me? So, how do we start? First of all, we have Elon Musk. Elon Musk is known as the wealthiest person in the world. He had a first quarter 2025 net worth of $400 billion. I'm sure you realize that's a lot of money, but he earned it. He was born in South Africa in 1971. His mother was born in Canada, and so he emigrated to Canada in 1988 to escape the apartheid system in South Africa. You know, that included censorship, disinformation, and the government treatment of black people. It was really not a great place to grow up, not a great place to have a business, not a safe place to start a new business. You never knew what the government was going to do next. So he came to Canada, the birthplace of his mother. And that's why he went to Canada, because it was one place that he could go. He had an anchor there. Now, we know, of course, that Elon immigrated to America in 1992. He became a naturalized United States citizen in 2002. So, why come to America? Because that's where people come when they want to be successful, when they're entrepreneurs who have ideas, who have knowledge of how to earn money and make money, who have inventive minds. He is a genius-level entrepreneur known for significant contributions to space exploration, technology, and transportation. Now, he's the owner and leader of major U.S. companies. We all have heard of Tesla, SpaceX, X, formerly known as Twitter. These companies are on everybody's mind. Who hasn't heard of Tesla and SpaceX? But that's not all. His other projects included Starship, a fully reusable transportation system that will carry humans and cargo to and from space. Starlink, a high-speed satellite internet service. Many of us are now benefiting from using Starlink when the usual types of internet providers are no longer able or unable to match the speed of the Starlink system. Neuralink, which is a high-bandwidth brain-machine interface, so you can link computers to the brain of human beings. Experimental, but a lot of people are trying this with great success. And the Boring Company, which combines fast, affordable tunneling technology with electric public transportation to combat urban congestion. So this is not your usual entrepreneur. He ranks easily in the top 10 of entrepreneurs on Earth. He has a brain that is able to conceptualize interesting concepts, interesting ways of combating problems. He thinks of problems and then he imagines ways to solve them, innovative ways to solve them, and he has been very successful. Earlier in his career, Elon Musk created and sold Zip2, one of the first map and direction companies, and he co-founded and sold PayPal, the world's leading payment system. And it's the monies from those ventures that would fund his future projects. So here is a man who comes to this country. He comes to this country with a purpose in mind of being successful. And when people are successful, of course, that means other people become successful because of him. People who went to work for him early on became wealthy when they invested in his ventures, were given the opportunity to invest in his ventures. People who were employed by him, who would find great jobs with good pay. And look at all the companies he has founded. He has employed many people. Many people have benefited from him. He's definitely a financial asset to this country. And that's what he was known for. But eventually, Musk decided that he had to become involved in the political workings and the political machinery of this country. Now, historically, he donated to both parties and limited his political support to companies that would benefit his business interests. Now, of course, that's not unusual for people to do that. They have a lot of money. They want their businesses to succeed. And so they found out who's going to support the areas of my business interests. And his priorities then expanded. After he understood what was going on in this country, after he was successful, he was able to expand his priorities to include the problems of taxes, public schools, national, local school safety, medical care, illegal immigration, limited government, and reduced spending. These are the priorities that he took interest in after he was well on his way to making his companies in this country successful. So Musk said, and I quote him, he said, "Voting for the candidate who best represents me has become more difficult as graft and corruption has thoroughly infiltrated our two-party system. I simply voted for the least worst of the worst." So I ask you, how many of you actually can say that's me? How many people can identify with Elon Musk when it comes to voting for the least of the best, least of the worst? Because that's what we're doing. But he recognized, as so many of us have, that we do not have two parties. We have a uniparty. And that has come about because of graft and corruption. Money has infiltrated our two-party system, and it has corrupted it. It has corrupted it to the point where our representatives can tell us anything they want when they get to Washington. Then they do what whoever pays them to do. That's what they do. And we know that. We've known that for a long time, for years really. But hasn't it gotten a whole lot worse recently? Of course it has. It has gotten worse and worse because we no longer have any hope of expecting an elected official to do what he promised when he was here. Now you can go back to the beginning when the Constitution was written. The founders of our country had zero expectation of Congress becoming a lifelong profession or even a full-time job for that matter. They expected the representatives of the local people to go to Washington for maybe 3-4 months a year, do the limited business of the federal government, which was severely limited by the Constitution, and then come back home. And when they came back home, what did they have to do? They had to live next door to the people that they had voted, and they had voted on things, and they had to live next door to the very people who were affected by their votes. And what that meant is you can walk over to their house, knock on the door and say, "Hey, dude, You voted for something really stupid. What'd you do that for? It's making my life really difficult. Well, we can't do that now. You ever tried to get a hold of your congressman or your senator? Lots of luck with that. They are untouchable. They're untouchable. That's what they believe. And that's why they can vote on things that allow them to go to Washington poor and come back multimillionaires based on our votes, our taxes, and we have nothing that we can say about that. And Elon Musk, as an outsider, it was very easy for him to recognize that. And so when when there was an assassination attempt on President Trump, the first assassination attempt, Elon Musk became one of the GOP's top mega donors. As the richest man in the world, a Musk alliance carries great weight. And we saw that with the success of President Trump's reelection campaign. We know that Elon spent over $250 million, not billion, but $250 million to help Trump win re-election. He became a regular confidant and advisor to Trump during and after the campaign, helping to form Trump's financial and regulatory policies. So here's a guy who was voting for whoever he thought could help him out. He realized that was kind of futile unless he bought the whole bunch of them, which he wasn't about to do, because that's competing money. He was going to, if you buy one, someone else is going to buy him to go the other way. So he realized that maybe he should get involved, and he recognized that President Donald J. Trump, as a businessman, as an independent whom no one could control, no one owned, he recognized that maybe, just maybe, if he became involved with Donald Trump's campaign and became his confidant and advisor after the campaign, maybe he could just have an effect on America, maybe change things so that things were much better for you and me. Because if they were better for Elon Musk, they definitely were also going to be better for you and me. So he got to Washington, and Trump put him in charge of Doge. What is Doge? Well, Doge is something that Elon Musk could really sink his teeth into, because using that vehicle, he was given the authority to modernize government operations, not just a little bit. Aggressively modernize government operations. He used AI, he used data sciences, anything he could to evaluate all of the major agencies. And his job was first to boost transparency and efficiency and detect fraud. Isn't that enlightening? Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that what you and I want him to do? Yes, because that was sorely needed. We have government agencies, bureaucracies that are hidden. No one knew what they were doing. But we all knew they were spending a ton of money. They were spending a ton of money, and we had zero control over what they were spending it on. And moreover, we didn't know what they were spending it on. We had no idea. And therefore, in the darkness, we only could suspect that there was fraud and inefficiency, and our hard-earned money that was being stolen from us in the form of taxes was going to fund these corrupt agencies and, more importantly, put money in the pocket of people that didn't deserve our hard-earned dollars. So what did Musk do? He conducted audits. He started auditing agencies, bureaucracies. He unearthed hundreds of egregious cases of waste and inefficiency and outright fraud. Let's take one example. In one widely publicized incident, Auditors discovered that over 6,000 people listed as receiving Social Security payments were officially recorded as over 110 years old. People were receiving benefits and they were dead. Dead, I tell you. That is the ultimate scam, isn't it? Someone is getting and cashing your Social Security check after you're dead. Someone who doesn't deserve it, obviously. Their records were dating back many years. Now, obviously, some of those records may have been not really getting checks. Some of those people may not have been getting checks. But we know there are plenty of dead people getting checks that don't deserve them. And that was one of the things that Elon Musk turned up. He exposed that waste and outright fraud because people who collect those checks are committing fraud. They deserve to be tried for fraud and imprisoned with paying us restitution as well. How about another case where foreign entertainers were labeled as youth outreach ambassadors? And when the review was by Elon Musk, when he reviewed that, it was revealed that a handful of those grants had been awarded to rappers and social media influencers operating out of France, Nigeria, and Brazil, with absolutely no evidence of any deliverables tied to U.S. interests. Again, money stolen from you and me. We work hard, we pay our taxes, our money goes to Washington, and it disappears. It disappears down black holes that we have no control over. What did Elon Musk say? We found hundreds of millions of dollars going to people who don't exist, and billions going to programs that haven't been evaluated since fax machines were cutting edge, which we all know was many, many years ago. So if you have programs that are getting millions and millions of dollars, never evaluated, there had been no auditing done. They are closed. They are in the dark. And you know what they're doing in the dark. They're robbing us blind. And that is one of the greatest achievements of Doge and Elon Musk. He started to peel back the layers of the onion of corruption in Washington, D.C. The more layers he peeled back, the more corruption that was revealed. Doge Accountability Initiative claims over $175 billion in cost savings and waste elimination over a 5-year span. That was a benefit to us. That is something we can never thank Elon Musk for doing that. We can never thank Donald Trump for allowing Elon Musk to do that on our behalf, because that's what Elon Musk did. He looked under the covers. He peeled back the layers of the onion, and what was exposed? Our hard-earned dollars being stolen, given to other people who didn't deserve it, who didn't work for it, didn't earn it, should never have gotten it. People who were dead and other people cashing their checks. That's what Elon Musk did for us. And so we should all be eternally grateful to Elon Musk. And I say thank you, Elon Musk. You did us. You did me. You did me and my friends, my colleagues, my brothers and sisters. You did us all a wonderful favor by doing that. But then trouble arose, didn't it? Trouble arose in Washington, D.C. Worked with President Trump to draft the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Thus became more and more concerned about out-of-control spending and increased deficit, as he should. And that was a problem, because we knew that President Trump We sent him there not to spend our money needlessly, to decrease out of control spending and increase and not increase the deficit. And yet there was a big, beautiful bill that unfortunately seemed, in many respects, to be doing just that. One day after President Trump signed the big, beautiful bill into law, Elon Musk resigned and formed the America Party, declaring the two-party system broken. Well, fellow Americans, brothers and sisters, friends, that is exactly what it is. Elon Musk was exactly correct. The two-party system is broken because it's not a two-party system. It is a uniparty system in which everyone in Washington virtually, I don't know how many, but there may be a few, probably can count them on the fingers and thumb of one hand. I would not need my other hand or my toes to count them. But that's how few there are in D.C., in Congress, who we can truly say are looking out for our interests, who are not enriching themselves at our expense. So he formed, Elon Musk did, the America Party. And he said, when it comes to bankrupting our country with waste and graft, we lived in a one-party system, not a democracy. Today, the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom. Now, of course, we know America is not a democracy. I'm not going to dwell on that. America is a constitutional republic in which we elect people in a democratic way, but our rights are secured and protected by the government at all levels. The Bill of Rights, those are our natural law rights, and the federal government and state governments are required to protect and defend our natural law rights. They are encoded in the Bill of Rights. That's what a constitutional republic is. So Elon Musk now has gone ahead and has formed a third party. That can be problematic. And so the question that we really need to ask is, what can his possible success be? What is the history of third parties or splinter parties or small parties? Why is it that we have a two-party system and not a parliamentary system with multiple small parties? What is the actual effect on you and me when we are talking about our government? Why are we unable to make our government work the way it is supposed to work? Why are those people in Washington, D.C. totally ignoring us and stealing our hard-earned dollars? Why are they able to do that? That is really the question. And so we need to talk about that. So let's talk about parliamentary systems. Almost all countries on earth, if they're not dictatorships, I'm not talking about dictatorships, that's where one guy and a small group of his friends rule everybody. They rule by fear and intimidation, by imprisoning people, killing people, murdering people, and the like. We're not talking about that. We're talking about parliamentary systems. Parliamentary systems are made up of multiple small parties. Now, the British system is one of the really good examples of that. They have a House of Lords and they have a House of Commons, but their political system is a parliamentary system. It is made up of multiple small parties. And the interesting thing about that system is that each party is formed to support a limited, specific ideological platform. So you have a party which has a very narrow interest, and you have multiple parties just like that. It is very different from our party, our system, of course. But that's what the parliamentary system engenders. Small, multiple parties. And this allows a citizen to vote for a party whose platform covers issues of specific interest to them. So let's say you had one party that was focused on gun ownership, self-protection, the Second Amendment. That was their main focus. And they may have a sub-focus of freedom of speech. Well, if we were in the parliamentary system, people who liked that party, who liked that platform, would be voting primarily for that party. Suppose you had a party that was interested in the Endangered Species Act and things like that, who were interested in that. You had a splinter party, a small party. Well, they would vote for that party because that party had a platform that covered an interest of specific to their wants and desires. So when you have a parliamentary system and you have all these tiny little parties, how does a government form? It requires a coalition of splinter groups. The election is not winner take all. It is proportional representation. You vote for the party that reflects your ideology. If you're a Green Party supporter, or a Libertarian Party supporter, or whatever, a Second Amendment Party supporter, and your party gets 15% of the vote, they get a respectable 15% of the seats in the legislature. Since there's no reason at all not to vote your conscience, a wide range of parties up and down the ideological spectrum can exist. So there you have a parliament that has a lot of different parties and different ideologies, of maybe a 15% party, a 20% party, maybe a 5% party, a 30% party. What happens? How do they form a government? Well, that requires a coalition of splinter parties to form a coalition to get more than 50% of the vote. That's how it works. So you have a union formed by putting together parties that can have ideologies that can coexist together. So suppose you then liked the ESA, but you also liked what the Libertarian Party said. Well, you could then have a government that represented you because your party and the Libertarian Party would both have seats in the government. So that's how a government works in a parliamentary system. Now, in a two-party system, winner takes all. Voters must accept all the positions of the party regardless of whether they agree with them. So that's why we have the problems that we have in our country when it comes to elections. You may agree with the top 3 or 4 things that your party stands for. But what if they also stand for things that are not in your ideology package at all? Well, you got to take the good with the bad, don't you? And they are in power if they win because winner takes all. And that's the downfall of the two-party system, is that you sometimes have to hold your nose and vote for your party, even though there are people in it who are supporting ideals and ideas that you do not like at all. But if you don't, what happens? Then the other party wins, and that other party has their top priority totally opposed to you. So instead of getting a government that more closely agrees with what you agree with, you get one that sort of agrees with you. And because so many of our congressmen and congresswomen are paid for, we have to accept what comes out, no matter if it's not exactly what we want, the bills have to, the legislation has to be a compromise. Otherwise, it won't pass. So let's talk about how have third parties fared historically. Well, most successful was Teddy Roosevelt in 1912. He ran on his own private party because the GOP did not reelect him as their candidate after he was president. So he was no longer president. He made his own political party in 1912 and ran, and he got 27% of the vote. That is a pretty darn good showing, isn't it? 27% of the vote. Why did he get that? Well, he had just been president of the United States. He had some pretty major name recognition already. So he got 27% of the vote. And that was excellent for him. But next in line is Ross Perot in 1992. Most of us remember Ross Perot. He ran against Clinton when Clinton ran. And in 1992, now he came in with 19% of the national vote. Ross Perot was completely unknown, but he had enormous personal wealth. So for Elon Musk, his third-party effort is really most similar to that of Ross Perot. Now, how does that actually work in real life? Well, historian Hofstadter said that third parties are like bees. Once they have stung, they die. They sting and they die because one of the major parties appropriates their message. And that's what you would expect if you were in a Republican Party and an upstart party, say by Elon Musk, was talking about, freedom of speech and cutting spending. Wouldn't you just say, well, that's what we've been for all along? Well, where's this guy coming up with it? We've been for that. Here it was back in 2012, 2014, 2000. we were the ones in favor of all that stuff. Okay? And they will appropriate the message of that third party. So we have to look at it. That's kind of the role of third parties, isn't it? They can produce important changes in the political system. They can. But none in the last century has ever really threatened to take power. They have to, if you understand the presidency, they have to win in the Electoral College. That's a very, very tall order. Small parties can potentially be effective at the local level. They have a really good shot of being effective at the local level because there's a smaller number of voters. It's easier to get known. It's easier to have your message known by voters in a local, say a commission election, a school board election, a town council election. Much, much easier for a small party member to say, I can do with these things, I can make things better, and here's how I'm going to do it. And people will know. It's a lot harder at a state level to do that. But then you multiply it many, many times harder when you get to the federal level. So that's what third parties are. They bring up special interests, special ideological messages, and so they can produce an urgency to approve those kind of messages by members who are running for Congress. And they say, some guy's running for Congress, and they say, well, there's that party, that Libertarian Party candidate. I like what he's saying about immigration, for instance. I'm going to say exactly what he said. And that message is then appropriated by the major party candidate. But again, you have to remember, when it comes to those major parties, it is an internal coalition that you may not agree with. You may agree with point number one, point number two, point number three in the party platform, but you may not agree with point 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Those planks may not be exactly to your liking. And that's why in the last century, third party powers have threatened to take power, but never have really been successful. So the question then arises of voting for third party, throwing away your vote. Well, that depends on what you think the purpose of voting is. If you think it's only to decide who's going to win and take elective office, then surely voting for a third party is wasted. So if you say to yourself, the only thing that matters to me is that the Republican candidate be elected. I don't care about plank number 2, 3, and 4. I care about planks 1 and 5 and 6. I don't care about the others. I care about the ones I care about. So I need him to be in office because I know that if the Democrat is elected, I disagree with almost everything he said. So if that is your mindset, then voting for a third party is a waste of your vote. Because if enough people vote like for a third party and not for the Republican candidate that you like, the Democrat might win. Actually, there's a lot of independents around now, a lot more independents in some cases than even Republicans or Democrats. And they can sway an election very easily. So if you're really concerned about whether your party candidate wins, you better vote for that party. But there are many people who truly believe that small parties are a way for citizens to make statements about how they feel about the political system and what options they think they have or would like to have. Then you can see it as a statement of ideology. So you are not voting, in essence, for an elective office. You're not really saying that guy's got to get in office. You're saying, I so firmly believe in the political ideology of that small political party that I am going to vote for that party so that people know that that party's message is important to me and important to many other people's. Now, the Libertarian Party is very much like that. And I will tell you that I used to be a member of the Libertarian Party because I believe in a lot of what they say, and they are a very hardworking, small party. And this program here, Dr. Dan's Freedom Forum Live, will be on every single Tuesday night at 8 p.m., and I'm going to tell you that the third Tuesday of each month will be a program called The Libertarian Perspective. And I will have a number of people who represent the Libertarian Party on to discuss the principles of the Libertarian Party. So if you're interested in that, the third Tuesday of every single month at 8 p.m., tune in to Dr. Dan's Freedom Forum Live, and that's what discussion you'll be hearing. So that really sums it up. Elon Musk, of course, was not born in this country, so he actually could not be president. I shouldn't say this, but Barack Obama is the only person not born in the United States who ended up being president, but that's a whole other story. I'm not even going into that. But Elon Musk is starting a third party, and it's going to have an ideology. If you like that ideology and you really understand it doesn't care whether it's Republican or Democrat that wins, if that's what you think, then show your support for the Elon Musk American Party ideology by voting for that party. And so you can really say that about any party, any of these small parties. If their ideology is based upon what you believe, by all means, go ahead and vote for that party. And that's a way of saying to the country, this party has something to say. And so, I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. This is Dr. Dan, and this is Dr. Dan's Freedom Forum Live every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and X. And so here's the summary. Elon Musk played a pivotal role in the past election season as a financial contributor and as a political advisor to Donald Trump. After Trump's victory, Musk used his business acumen and talent to unravel the layers of corruption that continue to destroy the financial and political health of our country. Very much like Trump in his first term, Elon Musk seems to have misunderstood the mechanisms necessary for to be successful in changing federal government policies. Trump did learn those lessons. During the 4 years he was not in office, he came to understand, what do I need to do to run this federal bureaucracy and make it bend to my policies and my ideology? So Trump did learn those lessons, and Musk couldn't accept Trump's compromise to achieve a partial victory. And actually, Trump did have to compromise to achieve some of his partial victories. Starting a third party is counterproductive. The Trump-Musk team was achieving significant success. Musk's third party could derail the train and prevent American recovery, the American recovery that, in fact, we need. This is Dr. Dan. Resist tyranny and trust in freedom.